I'm very pleased to tell you something about my dream job, because a couple of months ago I got a phone call from Jasper and he asked me if I wanted to tell something about honesty, because he heard about what I was doing and he thought, well, that would be a great link. So I'm very pleased to tell you something about it, because I'm really passionate and enthusiastic about it. But before I do so, I would like to introduce myself through this visualization. This is a little bit of me. As you can see, I like to run. I did run the New York Marathon. I run the Egmond. Last week I did the Spartan race in Barcelona. I have a crazy dog. That's why I had to put this picture in the presentation, because he's like a real clown. And I've got a little bitchy cat. So this is a great representation of who she is. I like to read good books. I like to be outside, go to the forest, go to the beach, and live with my boyfriend in The Hague. And as you can see, there are some more animals on this presentation as well, which are horses. Horses play a big role in my life. And I am one of the happy few who make a living out of my passion, working with horses. So what am I doing? I am an equine assisted coach, which means I use horses as an assistant during my coach sessions with people. And of course I'm going to tell you everything about it, but before I start, I am curious if there is anyone who has ever heard about equine assisted coaching. Can I see some hands? No, not too many, not too many. Has anyone experienced this session? One. Can you share a short piece?
Well, it's been a long time ago. We just talked about it. It was about 7 years ago. But what stands out is that when you think you have a certain, the way the people around you perceive you is quite different when you're acting with horses. Horses are much more honest about the way you approach them than humans are. So if you think you are relaxed, the horse will immediately, show it if it's otherwise. So a lot of things. So that's quite an eye-opener.
Well, thank you, Peter. That's true. And the funny thing is, I didn't expect Peter to be here, because I met Peter like 7 years ago, and he was in a session with me with the horse. So that's But thank you for your sharing.
You're welcome.
So, what Peter is saying, honesty is like a big theme in working with horses. What is it? Equine assisted coaching means that we are using the refined sensibility of the horse, which is truly focused on body language and gives direct feedback on your communication skills, your form of leadership, your attitude, your authenticity, and the way you interact with other people. So it's a great mirror. And this picture really shows the essence of what equine assisted coaching is for me. So if you take a look at this picture, what do you see? Can you describe it?
Horses.
Yeah, I see everybody looking the other way. That's weird.
But the horse is looking the other way.
Nobody's interacting with the horse.
No, they're all pointing that direction. We want to go to this direction. And the horse is just looking at the complete other way. This is what equine assisted coaching is all about, because it goes, are your goals clear? Do you know what you want? What is your intention? Do you have all the same plans? What is your plan to go to that goal? And if it's not clear, the horse won't follow you. And it has some specific reasons. The reason why we work with horses, and just to let you know, you can use any horse you like. We don't use trained horses. We make use of the basic intuition of the horse. And that is a prey animal, which means it gets hunted and killed by a predator. So it has to be very conscious about his surrounding. It has to read his surrounding. It has to be absolutely sure if it's safe, if they can stay, or if they have to run. And they not only read their surroundings, they also read everything that's in their surroundings. So if you have a look at this horse, you can see that he's aware of what is happening around him. You can see it on his ears, you can see it on his eyes, his head is moving. So they're always scanning if it's safe or if it isn't safe for him to be there or to be with us. Besides being a prey animal, it also is a herd animal, which means they can't survive without the herd. So they find their safety within the herd. As a herd animal, they are really, really good team players because they have to work together. In the herd, there is no such thing as ego because the ego is the weakest link of the herd. So they all have their roles and they all have made themselves subordinate to the highest interest, which is survival. Being a herd animal means that they want to connect, they want to be with, of course, horses, but if we take them out of their safe surroundings and put them in another situation, for example with us humans, they still want to make a connection. But in order to make a connection, it still has to be safe for the horse. Well, then an interesting question is, what could possibly be safety for a horse if it's interacting with us? Anyone have an idea?
Trust.
Trust? True. Why trust? What do you mean with trust?
If the horse trusts you to be part of the group or looking out for each other, then I think it feels safe.
Okay. And how can a horse trust you?
Does it need to see you?
You mean like physically
Yeah.
see you? Well, yeah. If we want to interact with the horse, it needs to see you. Yes.
I guess smell you, because always you bring your hand to the horse like this, and it either goes away or comes to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Perhaps the physical contact as well, like once you touch a horse, it feels your rhythm and everything, like the energy from you, kind of through the touch.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting thing you say, because before we can touch them, they have to trust us. Otherwise, they won't let us touch them. But it is about the energy. It is about our intention. It is about being honest of who we are and what our intention is. Horses communicate only by body language, signals, and by physical content. I will show you a picture later on. But for the horse, the most important thing is that you are in line with what you feel and what you think. And that's kind of difficult for us humans because we tend to feel a lot of things, but we overpower them by thoughts that, for instance, if we feel insecure. A lot of people are a little bit afraid when they step in the ring with a horse for the first time. And they try to push away that feeling, like, oh my god, I'm so scared, this horse is so big, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to prove that I can do this, and I will show anyone, because there are a lot of other people standing outside watching me. I have to be some one different than who I feel right now. For the horse, that's not safe. Because in order to make contact, the horse needs safety, and safety is when you are feeling the same way that you act. And when we are insecure, mostly we don't act the same way we feel. And we humans, well, we doesn't always read the signs we give. But the horse is very clear. Because when you feel insecure and you try to overpower it, your body language will say something else. Because mostly you will make yourself smaller. You let your shoulders drop, you bend your knees, but you try to be strong. And the horse doesn't understand it because you give mixed signals. And what the horse doesn't understand, it's not safe. So it won't make any connection. But what it can understand, that if you are insecure or a little bit scared, and you are standing right beside the horse and says, wow, I'm standing here, I'm a little bit scared, you are very big, but I'm gonna give it a try anyway. Then you are aligned with what you feel and what you think. And that's something the horse can understand. And don't get me wrong, the horse cannot understand the way we can understand. And the horse can't think the way we think. Horses barely think. They are very reactive. We are thinkers, we are predators. So we made small strategies in our minds. A horse, a prey animal, will never make a strategy because his only purpose is to survive. So he always has to react on his environment. And that's one of the reasons why we work with horses during the coach sessions, because they are very pure in what they give back to you. They are truly a mirror of your soul. If we go back to safety and language, the other thing why I like to work with horses during the coach sessions is because horses don't speak. You cannot have a discussion with a horse. So you can leave all your pretty talk at home and you just have to show it. You just have to do it. You just have to feel it. These are ways horses communicate. For example, the top one and in the right corner, the horse is giving signals to other horses, but it is very, well, this isn't even subtle, but they can be very, very subtle. In the left one, it's a little bit more physical, but they don't use words. That's why they are such great teachers in body language. And if we just picture yourself in a situation and you see someone is crossing this door, for instance. Without saying a word, we all immediately have a feeling about this person. Do we want to have a chat with them, or do we think, not so much today? It's all about body language. So the horses give you a great reflection on what the effect is on your attitude, on your surroundings. Well, so far a little bit about horse coaching or equine assisted coaching, but before I go any further, maybe it's good to tell you how I came to this type of work, how this became my dream job. Well, ever since I was a little girl, I had a big love for horses. My parents liked to make the joke to say that I was saying horse before mom or dad. And the funny thing is, no one in my family likes horses. Some of them are previous farmers, they had cows and they were okay, but horses, they really don't like them. My mother is afraid of them. My father is liking them because I like them and he wants to support me, but no one else likes horses. So, as a little kid, I was always around horses, ponies, wherever I could. And when I was a year or 10, when I was 10 years old, I got bullied at school. And it was just all of a sudden, and it really hurt my feelings. It lasted for a year, then I got to another school, but it really damaged me. Because I developed some trust issues. I had difficulty with trusting others, difficulty with people letting in, coming close. And my safe haven was, of course, the horse. Because when I was with the horses, I could just be I didn't have to talk about anything. I could just be who I wanted to be. I didn't have to live up to expectations of others or expectations that I had of myself. I could just be the little quirky kid I was. I think that the horses were a big part of my healing after that time. But when I was a teenager, I still had some difficulties. I was quite a difficult teenager. Probably more for my parents than for me, but I was kind of rebellious. But most of the time I was really angry. Angry at the world, angry at other people, angry at myself. And that's because I didn't acknowledge what happened to me. I was fighting against it. I relived it every day and I was so angry and I had to prove everyone that I was not the person that I was before, etc., etc. And I think that at around my 20th birthday, I got my first horse, my first own horse, and he was my great teacher. Because back then, I was riding competitions, and like we all know, if you do something with competition, even if it's soccer or riding a horse, you have to train. And not everything goes the way you want it to go. So we had some good days, and we had some bad days. And when we had some bad days, I was really frustrated because the anger was still inside of me. And when I got angry at my horse, the horse got angry. And we were in a constant fight. Like I got angry, the horse went running over the fields, I couldn't stop him, and I got more angry, and well, it was just like, we were like a comic duo for spectators. But for me it was like a real struggle because I wanted him to stop being this annoying. But the only way he stopped being annoying was when I stopped being annoying. So when I stopped being angry and when I became mild and soft, my horse became mild and soft. And then we could do anything we would like to do together. So at the beginning it was kind of frustrating because I wanted him to be the one who surrendered. So in order for me to surrender. But that's not the way it works. The horse is a great mirror or a great reflection of who we are. So at that point I learned that I have control about what happens to me, but also what happens to my surroundings. So if I'm quiet or when I'm easy, the other one, in this case the horse, but even people, can be easy as well. So I think that played a big part in my healing process and in understanding how things work and in understanding how people communicate or what the dynamics is between people. And years later, well, I'm gonna hop in time, but years later I was working, I was giving a lot of training, I was already coaching people by then. And at a certain moment I was thinking, wow, these horses, they really teach me a lot. So would it be possible to let other people experience what I experience without riding a horse or so? So can I make something, can I think of something where I can give these lessons of the horses to other people? And that's when I started with my big adventure of equine assisted coaching. And of course I followed some different kind of courses and I'm still following courses because it's very interesting. It really is. And I start bringing people and horses together. And that had some great results. And I would like to take you to a session. What is some session like this? When we have a session, I build up a round pen. Well, it's not the greatest picture, but this is an example of a round pen. And we place the horse in it and the one who is gonna have a session with the horse as well. And the people get exercises. This is a picture from last week. I had 3 girlfriends. They all wanted an individual session, but they also wanted to do something together. So this is about teamwork. This is about communication. This is a parking space. And they had to park the horse in the parking space. So as you can see, the horse is not in the parking space yet, and they are. But they have to find out a way how they can get them in. And the way they interact with each other and the way they interact with the horse, as a coach, I can tell a lot about leadership, communication, working together, intention. Do you truly believe that things are going to happen, or are you in doubt? Because whenever there is doubt in some way, the horse won't do what you want him to do. You can have different kind of exercises. There are plenty. Like this one is making contact with your horse. And like we seen earlier in the video, if you want to make contact with the horse, you first have to make contact with yourself. You have to be truly honest about what your intentions are. On the slide over here, these guys are from in Holland, so they're students, and they build a little obstacle. So sometimes I have like all those stuff which people can choose of, and I can say, well, choose whatever you want and build your own parkour or whatever you like. And they build like this obstacle, and they want the horse to jump over it. Well, I can tell you the horse won't jump over it by himself. So you truly have to convince him that he has to get over it. How you do it, well, that's something different. But it's all about communication. It's all about being very clear. If you work with a group, and the funny thing is, does anyone of you have colleagues or co-workers? Can you see something? Yeah. Well, maybe you notice then that if you want to achieve something, if you want to achieve a goal, it's very important that you work together. But it's also very important that you have like very clear which path you're gonna take to get to that goal. For instance, let's take this one for an example. If your goal is to go over this obstacle, and for you, imagine any goal you have, like getting this deal done or whatever. There are certain ways you can approach your goal. At first, it seems very clear. We want to get over the obstacle, that's our goal. Alright, so it seems like it's very clear. But the thing is, you can either go on the right, you can go on the left, you have different directions where you can approach your goal. And if it's not clear by any team member what you're going to do, the horse won't understand it. And the horse won't do it. So the only way the horse can follow you is when you are absolutely clear, but you are all committed to your plan. Some other examples. Well, the funny thing is I got a lot of pictures of students because one of my clients is like the University of Arnhem and Nijmegen, and they added this, it's called the Horse College, in their curriculum. So these are students commercial economy, and they all have to go to the horses. And they have to learn about what it is to work together, what it is to learn to communicate, but also what it is to, or how you can talk with each other about things that doesn't work the way you want it to go. Because this is all when it's going very well. You can give yourself an applaud and say, well, we're a great team, so you can see what your qualities are. But you can also see where there is space for development. So what if the communication in the team is not okay? Then the horse is the result of your communication. That's what I always say. The horse is just a metaphor, it's just a tool to give you some insights. But it is the result of you working together. So if your goal was, we're going to park the horse and we put like something underneath it, which can be scary for the horse, and it's standing there, then that's the result of your working together. So this works very well. But if it doesn't stand in the parking lot, like in the picture before, then it has to do with you. It has to do with how you work together, how you communicate, about do you believe that things are going to happen? So So it's very useful, and it gives you a great insight in yourself. This is just some picture of a lady. She's a mother, and this is the pony of her daughter, and she said, well, I would like to do something with the horse. Funny thing is, she just asked me to give her some training or instruction about training the horse. But in fact, it was just coaching, because it was all about leadership. It was all about being self-confident to do whatever you want to do. It's not only difficult, it's not only confronting, but it's also a fun thing to do, which I just wanted to show you. I would like to end my presentation with like the common lessons the horse teaches us. In every session well, not in every session, but every session is different for me. The only thing is the fact that we go into a round pen with the horse. That's the only thing that is certain. But what will happen, I have no idea. So my work is very adventurous. It's exciting, it's creative, sometimes it's challenging, but I never know what will come. But there are a few things that come back almost in every session. And the first thing the horse teaches us is keep it simple. We tend to make things very difficult because we overthink. It has to be more, it has to be bigger. Am I good enough? Oh, how am I gonna do it? Why doesn't he move? How? And the more we think, the less we feel. And the less we feel, the less contact we have with our body. And if we don't have any contact with ourselves, we are never able to make the contact with the other. So just keep it simple and just be you. The horse really teaches us to be you, be me. There's no one else you can be than being you. And there's no way you are more powerful than just being you. If I look at the sessions, a lot of people are living up to expectations. Expectations of themselves, expectations of others, and they are drawn away from who they really are. And the horse only asks you to be you, and it doesn't matter if you are scared, it doesn't matter if you are insecure, it doesn't matter if you are angry, it just wants you to be you. And it wants you to be honest. Honest about how you feel, honest about what you want. Most people want something, but they don't do it, they don't show it, because of what others might think of them. Or they don't believe in themselves. They are not sure if they're going to achieve it. But just be honest, and if you just acknowledge your feeling like, oh, I'm so insecure or I'm scared, then a lot of stress will release. It doesn't make you less insecure, but the tension gets off of you. Just one last anecdote before I finish this presentation is I had a session like a couple of years ago with 4 ladies, and they were members of some sort of business club, and they just wanted to do something with the horse. And when we work with horses, you can either have like a question or a theme you want to work with, or you can say, well, I just go blank, just let's see what will happen. So this lady said, well, I have something in mind, which is a big topic in my life, but I won't share it because I want to see if the horse can pick it up. Well, okay, that's fine. So she enters the round pen, she enters the ring, and she starts making connection with the horse. And well, that went very easily. So the horse stood by her, she could touch it, they could cuddle, and it gets her. So she got really emotional, she started crying. and crying, and the horse was standing right beside her, just giving her some comfort or some sort of form of shelter. And the crying gets worse and worse and worse, and all of a sudden she just starts to hang on to him. So she starts clinging. She grabs his neck and she clings herself around the neck of the horse. And the first thing the horse does was walking away. So then she got really angry and she left the ring and said, well, I had enough. I'm fed up because this is what happens to me all my life. And finally, when I'm being open and I'm being vulnerable, people just run away. And now it happens with the horse as well, and I'm done and I will never go back, and I had it. So, well, okay, this is something interesting. I think we get to the point where, well, the point of your theme, the point of your topic. So I invited her back into the ring, and we start
Evaluate.
Yes, thank you. What just happened? And when we talked about it, the first thing was she was just standing there and crying, and it was fine for the horse. It was just standing right beside her and giving her some protection. But when she starts clinging, the horse just walks away. So what will it say? The horse is saying, if you are having tears, if you are having pain, if you're having sorrow, that's fine with me. I will be there right beside you. But if you are making me responsible for your happiness, or you're making me carrying your pain, I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you. Because it's not mine. And after she gave it some thought, she said, wow, yeah, that is actually what is happening to me all the time. Because when I finally find someone who is willing to listen to me, and I feel safe enough to be open, and I can give myself, I just get so attached to them that I'm just grabbing them and I won't let go. And then I am hanging on to, well, my happiness depends on them. I make them responsible for my happiness. So my biggest insight or my biggest learning is that I have to be on my own feet. And of course I can be sad, and I can have pain. But it is mine, and I can share it, but I don't have to put it onto others. So this is just one tip of the iceberg, or just one insight which equine assisted coaching can give you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.